we're going to do is we're going to discover our special purpose. What do I mean by that? You know when you're in the zone in life, when you're just feeling in the zone, you notice, by the way, when you're in the zone, like people like connect to you more on the street, like people like notice you more, and like also people say yes to you a lot more when you're in the zone. And you also know when you're out of the zone. You ever been in a party where you felt like out of the zone, and you're just like, I'm out of here. You got to get out of there. You ever had a job that you were like not in your zone, or been in a relationship with someone that you just felt not quite in the zone? So we naturally have a zone, and altogether there are 10 zones, and we're going to learn all 10 zones, and specifically focusing on 9 of the 10 zones. And we're going to try to figure out which of those 9, we'll be focusing on 9, which of those 9 zones are we most connected to? Like which one's really me? And then you know to celebrate your life in that zone. That'll have a lot to do with who you marry. It'll have a lot to do with occupation. Have a lot to do with how you spend your time, because that's your special zone. Clear? Again, we have all kinds of body feedback, and when we're out of our zone, the digestion will affect. Sometimes people get headaches, acne, breathing. We lose our breath a bit when we're out of the zone. It's important to pay attention to your body when you are out of the zone, like to really be sensitive to your body. Some people have such high tolerance for stress, meaning their body's out of the zone, it's giving them all the signs, and they totally ignore it until they're having anxiety. You get that? A sensitive person already recognizes even a little stress and says, what's that stress? Am I out of my zone right now? And if I am, maybe I can breathe through this. Or maybe I really need to get out of here right now. Or maybe you understand you got to know yourself and be sensitive to yourself and know when you're in the zone, when you're out of the zone. We're not always going to be in our zone. I mean, there are people right now testifying in courts, all over the planet. No one wants to be in there. They're out of their zone. But deep breathing, a little prepping themselves before, giving themselves a hot bath after. It's really being sensitive to themselves, because in the end they witnessed something and they have to go tell what they saw, and no one wants to be doing that with 2 groups of lawyers coming after them, for 3 hours. But that's what was brought. They have to stretch, breathe, get out, get back to the zone. Clear? Okay? So be aware of your body, be sensitive to it, and honor when your body's telling you get out. On the other hand, we want to know not just when we're supposed to get out, but we want to know what to jump into. What's your zone? Now, why are we here in Jerusalem, opposite the Temple Mount, trying to discover what our zone is? And the answer is because we have the Kabbalah. And the Kabbalah is the secrets of creation. And the secrets of creation are how God created the world. And in the Kabbalah, it actually gives over 10 ways, which are really 9, of how God created the world. And those ways are in everything. I'll give you an example. Let's take way 4 and 5. Way 4 is flow. Way 5 is structure. Okay? Look around. No matter where you look, you'll find ways 4 and 5. It's everywhere. It's in everything. I'll show you. I'll give you an example here in my cup. The water, obviously, is flow. Yeah? And the cup is obviously structure. And you'll see the water will flow into any structure. Now, water, of course, has its own structure, and cups have their own flow. But there's flow and structure going right here. When you look at the sun is beaming down light with an absolute flow. The ozone's structuring it and breaking it down so that we can live on Earth. When you meet someone, let's say a guy walks in the room. I've never met him before. Am I going to give him a bear hug, which would be pure flow? No. But I'll shake his hand. Nice to meet you. Do a little flow. Shake his hand. Yeah. Give him some space. I don't want to overflow and scare him. Give him a big hug and a kiss. He's going to run for his life. So everything is flow and structure, meaning these 2 attributes of 4 and 5, which are flow and structure, they are everywhere. This was a tree. It was nice and flow. It got planed. It got structured. It's now a table. The frame of the table was molten metal, flow. But it got put in a mold, structure. Okay? Everything is flow and structure. But I could have taken any of the 10 and just gone from that. Clear? The Kabbalah is teaching us that the whole creation is made of this stuff. And we, each one of you, have a certain zone of the 10 that's your special Garden of Eden. And you want to know what that is, because then you can make your life choices based on that. So let's look up here on the board. And we will begin. If you look on the board, so you'll see we've got, I'm going to make a grid here. And over here, we're going to have also 4 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, what I want you to notice is on this side is flow. And on this side is structure. Okay? Flow and structure. So we put wave 3 and wave 4. Okay? Flow and structure. But in truth, all of this whole column, as we develop it, will all be flow, and this is all going to be structure-oriented zones. There are 9 zones on the table, on the board, and I'm going to make a 10th right here. That's going to be the 10th. So there's 9 and a 10th. Our first question is to figure out if you're a flow or if you are structure. Okay? Now let me explain what they both are, and then I'm going to ask you guys to share whether you're flow or structure. Meaning, what are your factory settings? Are you more of a flow person or a structure person? And I don't want to hear how you're reacting, because if you have 2 structure parents and you've been like Miss Flow, when in fact you're really also structure, but you're just rebelling into this flow mode. You ever met like a hippie who didn't do it well? You know what I'm talking about? They're trying to be the hippie, but they just don't do it well. And then the other person like tries as hard as they can to be structure, but they're total hippies, even though they're trying. So I don't want to hear how you react. I want to know what your factory settings are. Okay, so let's start with flow. So flow people generally don't have much of a sense of time. They love free time. They like God to be in charge of their itinerary. They like, by the way, in Bed Bath & Beyond, they know that every person who shops there is either flow or structure. So when you go in there, you'll find like drapes that have like sharp lines and angles on them for all the structure people. But then there will be these very beautiful kind of maybe paisleys, or there will be flowers or whatever, because the flow people will automatically buy those. The plates have the same thing. The flow people will go for the more antique-looking china, while the structure people will go for plates that maybe the salad plate's triangular, or if it's round, there might be embossed on the plate geometric shapes that have very hard angles to them. Is that clear? So they know for everything they're selling there, there's flow and structure people. And if they're smart, and I've been to places in Israel where the department store has the flow stuff on the right, because flow people tend towards the right, and the structure people tend towards the left. And in fact, your right brain is your creative flow brain, and your left brain is your analytical structure brain. And so there's our department stores that actually are, when you're walking, you know that aisle you walk down to get up to the next escalator? So they have all the flow products on the right and all the structured products on the left. Clear? Okay, structure people, they do get time. They're good with time. And they don't mind a free summer, but they're going to schedule it. They're going to schedule it and put in everything that they enjoy to do. And whereas the flow person, they don't mind missing certain things as long as they could just keep the schedule open. And that's the flow person. Structure people like it like that. They flow people like change of plans. They love, spontaneous shifts. Whereas structure people, they don't like that so much. Flow people tend to be a lot looser about what they wear and stuff like that. Just kind of grab whatever shirt's on top. And structured people are more like deciding what look they're going for. They're gonna choose their clothes very carefully, like that. That's it. And also, like hair is obviously a flow and structure decision that someone can make, but not everyone makes it. But can have that kind of thing going on. And there's also people whose hair is naturally, because we're talking factory settings, so they have naturally structured hair follicles in their heads. And there's others who are just like, I don't know, have you ever met a girl with like pure Italian curls, and they're just like giant Italian curls, and she's just like total flow, and everything's just curly in her life. Just what do you think, and what's the example?
I think I'm very much structure.
Yeah.
Like I knew that if, I'm just using this as an example, but I knew that if I came to Israel, I definitely want to do a program, just because if I come to Israel and I don't have anything structured, I don't think that I'd actually do anything. So just using that as an example.
Is she floor structure? She gave it away. She's flow. She's flow, and she realizes that she needs to have a superimposed structure upon her, or she'll do nothing. She'll be on the beach, Your flow. Yeah. Your flow, and you're crying out for structure.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I'm flow. If I don't have a structure, oh my gosh, I'd be in bed today right now. I'd just be just enjoying my down comforter, and flannel sheets. And excellent. Okay, so you got it perfectly wrong, and we've got it perfectly right now. And so it's important to get this, guys. You want to celebrate what you are and then stretch to the other side. So you celebrate and stretch. So I'm celebrating being flow. I stretch to be structure, which makes me balance, right? So I live in a balance, but it's only because I'm celebrating what I am and I'm stretching the other side. Okay, send the mic over. Go ahead. What do you think, Florist?
Definitely flow.
Yeah.
Yeah, just go along with it. No worries. It's all good.
No worries, mate.
That's it. It's all good.
Very good. Okay, good. Keep going.
Are you necessarily one or the other? Is everyone necessarily one or the other?
Most people are. Now, by the way, I didn't show you. There's a continuum here. So we need the URE here. Okay? So there are people who are extreme Darth Vader structure, over there. But there are structure people who are like the E over here. They're structure, but they're really more towards balance. Yeah? And then you get flow people who are out there. Yeah? And they're extreme flow types. And obviously these two should never marry. That's why marriage will come up in this. These two would kill each other. Yeah? So this person obviously should marry someone there, and that person should marry someone there. To balance them out and not to be angry at each other. Yeah, go ahead, please. What's your name?
Olga.
Olga, please.
I'm not entirely certain, but I think I am more on the flow side. I don't like structure, although I do understand its necessity at times. Generally, if structure is imposed on me, I'll try to break away from it.
Amazing. Wow. Okay, so that's something to be really aware of. And know your signs when you're about to break out of a job or a marriage or, mommy again. There's so much structure in our lives. And you got to know when you're starting to break up. You're starting to break loose, and you got to catch it and take deep breath, hot bath, give yourself a prize at the other side of all the bedtime stories, and you know what I mean? Okay, please. You are?
My name's Amy.
Hi, Amy.
And I think I am flow.
We just got the flow. Everyone's got the flow back there. Yeah, I was looking at your group. I only noticed I don't know. I was thinking there's a couple structures, but mostly flow. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, I just think I don't know. I'm a big procrastinator, so I don't have a lot of structure. Yeah.
No natural structure.
No.
Okay, very good. Okay, let's hit one more. Yeah.
I'm Paloma, and I don't know if I'm truly structured and I'm all the time trying to flow, or if I'm flow and I'm all the time trying to make a structure. I'm all the time in the conflict. I don't know. I feel the same as her. I came to the trip. I will never go with alone, but I will never make the plans. I will never plan what to do in Israel and to make all the structure, but I came to a program that they make me the structure. So I don't know.
Okay, it could be your flow. I mean, it could be your flow also. I don't know. Okay, any structure people here? I'm sensing your structure. So. I think so. Yeah, she's trying to see. Yeah, are you structured? Interesting, the structure people. I'm wondering if you're structured too, by the way. So I can't tell, and you also can't tell. Go ahead, grab the microphone. But I'm sure she's structured. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I reckon I'm structured as well. I like schedules. I like to know exactly what I'm doing when I'm doing. Write long lists of stuff I need to accomplish and stuff like that.
Amazing.
Like that.
Great example.
Yeah.
You know yours? Yeah.
I'm sort of stuck in between, I think.
Yeah.
Generally, I sort of just like to go with the flow and whatever happens, happens. But occasionally I do like a structure and to know what is happening and things like that.
Amazing. Okay, very good. You could be right in the middle. Okay, Miss Structure over here.
Why do you think I'm structured?
I've been doing this a lot of years.
You know, I like to be organized. I don't like being late, so I generally get ready early and things like that. Yeah, I think I am definitely structured. I'm occasionally flow because I can be slightly lazy at times, but generally I'm structured.
Excellent. You want to keep going since we're doing it?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure which one I am. Like, I take things from both sides, I guess. Like, I like being, I guess, laid back and not having any plans. But if I do have plans and they change, I get, like, I guess a bit anxious about it and stuff. And I guess, yeah, I'm sort of like when you said about the left and right hemisphere, like, I use both. I'm a musician and an accountant. So it's sort of like,
You're a musician?
Yeah. And
what's your medium?
I play the violin and I sing.
Amazing. And when you play the violin, you're playing classical music or bluegrass?
Yeah, I play classical and klezmer.
And that's both flow and structure.
Yeah.
Classical is generally very structured, and klezmer, but you chose a structured scarf, you realize.
It's my mom's.
Yeah, but that's the one you stole.
Yeah, so I like it. Yeah.
Is she structured?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, she's more structured than me, I guess.
Okay, great. Okay, since we got everybody, you might as well share.
Hey, up until now, I would have said I was flow, but like same as Rachel, at the end of last year, I wanted to change my degree to fine arts law. I'm just very...
From what, basket weaving?
No, from arts to try and discover what I liked. But yeah, like I like doing as much as I can and to do everything to the fullest, but then again, I don't know.
Yeah, you might be a little more balanced as well. Like you said, what's your name again? Deborah. I know we got it. Okay, very good. And your name?
Zara.
Okay, very good. You can keep that for now. Let's head up here. Now, one thing I did not offer the middle. The middle is balance. The reason why I didn't offer it is everyone likes to say that's them. And I don't want to say that because I don't want to hear that because everyone wants to feel they're the one who's the balance. The balanced person's one in like 60 people. There are not a lot of people like this. They're very hard to find. They're generally managers. They're in managerial roles depending if they're the top. Meaning if they're this group, or this group, but they're always going to be managing whatever they're managing. And they're an interesting folk. They flow like the best of them, and they structure like the best of them. They would never be worried at all about a change in plans. That's cool for them. Happy with change of plans. Yet very planned, very principled in their plans, and they can like just organize everything. Yet let it all go and just throw it all to the wind and just go with the flow. It's a unique character. There are very few people like that. It's hard to meet them. But they exist. I get to meet some sometimes, and it may be two of you. It may be Miss Klezmer, classical music violinist, singer. What's your name? Rachel. It could be like Rachel, or it could be like Amy. Deborah. Amy. Deborah could be that one. Could be. I'm not sure you are. I'm more likely thinking you maybe. I don't know. But but that's it. And most people you meet who are balanced isn't because they're truly here. They're balanced either because they're celebrating but stretching, and that causes balance, or they're celebrating and stretching, and that's causing balance. Or she's the F of flow, or he or she is the E of structure, meaning they're really flow or structure, but they're just very close to balance. Clear? Okay. Now, that's your style. That's your style. Whether your flow or structure is your style. We're done with style. We're moving on. And what we're moving on to is, what is your USB cable interface to the world? How do you interface with the planet around you, with the world around you? How do you interface? Now, there are 3 options for ways to interface with this world. Those 3 options are as follows. They are the intellect, then there is interpersonal, okay, interpersonal, and then the last one, the 3 I's, is instinctual. And, or I should just put instinct. That's probably a little more accurate right now. Okay? Intellect, interpersonal, and instinct, or instinctual. This is how we connect to the planet, like how we connect to reality around us. And we connect through all 3. Like when I'm reading a book, which one am I doing? When I'm studying the Torah, intellect, right? When I'm teaching a class right now, what am I doing? Interpersonal. And when I'm eating the lunch that I missed today, and when I will later go get something to eat, what will I be involved in? That's instinct. Okay. And what happens is, human beings, each person has a certain formula of how they interface. You have to interface with all 3. You can't get away with skipping any of them. You need all 3. But you have a propensity for some more than others. And what you want to do is create a hierarchy of the 3. So we'll call this 1, this 2, and this 3. So I know in my life, I am a 2, 3, 1. That's the hierarchy in my life. Meaning I'm mostly interpersonal. So my job, for example, of teaching Torah is and especially the way I teach Torah, because I'm not teaching Talmud in a room sitting with, everyone's beards on their books. That's not my life. I never do that. I mean, rarely do I ever teach Talmud like that. So I'm always busy, like in a room, interacting, connecting, I'm totally trying to speak into the pocket of the listeners, really getting, by the way, my instinct side is very good with that too, because I'm sensing people. I have a strong sense of people. And so I'm able to totally reroute a class because of the way the people are reacting. And that's my instincts. It's also interpersonal. It's interpersonal with instinct together. Now, whereas you'll have an intellectual lecture where they'll be like, this week's Parsha that we'll be discussing in the Torah is the Parsha of Jethro. And everyone in the room's just like, okay, this is going to be okay, I guess I'll take notes. I mean, maybe I should just leave my MP3 player and go down to the Kotel for the hour, but in certain contexts, that's fine. Certain contexts, that's okay, I want to know all about the Parsha of Jethro, but you can imagine you could learn that Parsha from someone who will just speak right into the pocket and totally give you the Parsha in a way that it's yours, as opposed to just staying purely intellectual. So let me explain the 3 interfaces. The 3 interfaces, the intellect interface, by the way, none of these have to do with brains. For example, the smartest person right now in Asia Torah, who's behind this window is where the study hall is, out this window, the smartest person in the yeshiva right now is a pure instinct guy. Okay, he'd probably, if you really left him to his own desires, he'd probably mostly love to have his hands covered in grease, working on a Mustang GT. No, forget the GT. He'd be wanting to work on a 1950s Mustang. And he'd want to take apart the entire engine and put the entire engine back together and then drive it like across like 30 US states, you know, and just like live out on the road, you know. He happens to be the smartest guy at Aish right now. So there's nothing to do with brains. Is that clear? And he, by the way, has tremendous reward for his study. All these years, he's become one of the greatest scholars in Eshatar. And it's not because it's right in the pocket. He has stretched all the years to do this and has become a real scholar, real Torah scholar. That's not good for everybody, but he chose it. That's what he wants in his life. You know, he had enough of Mustang, 1950 Mustangs. He did that. Been there, done that. Now he's in the wisdom part of life. Okay, so intellect, they love ideas. They love Google. They even love more Wikipedia. They read it. They prefer to get it on their own. They like to be alone a lot. Because when you interrupt them, they get talking to you, they're going to get a lot less info than they're going to get online or in a book or learning Torah. There's just so much info. By the way, when they discover the mitzvah of studying Torah, they're like, sold. I'll take it. These guys, when we get these Aish guys, if they're an intellect guy and they discover like how much we honor study here in Jerusalem, they send an email to their families saying, so and so has died. We can't find his body. This is what they send back to their family. We can't find his body. Don't bother looking, because they're just like, they can't believe there's a whole society that just simply honors wisdom and the acquirement or achievement of knowledge. And it just blows them away. For me, it was also very exciting to see all the wisdom, but that's not where I live. You get that? I liked being with all the guys. It's like a real fraternity, all these guys. We're all changing our lives together, and we're spending Shabbos meals together, and we're. So for me, it was about the interaction, because I'm much more interpersonal. Now, so number one is intellect. They love ideas, and they love spending their time with those ideas and gaining more ideas. The second level person is the interpersonal, and the interpersonal, their brains really turn on when they're with another person. All of it, they could almost say nothing, and you have your inner voice that speaks. Their inner voice could be very quiet, but as soon as they're with another person, it's like, whoop, now it's on. And they could talk all night, and they could just, so much comes out of those conversations, and they can discover so much more just by having another person with them. And they're very comfortable at parties. Occupationally, they work great in like sales, restaurants. Anytime there's a lot of interaction, they like interactive jobs. The intellects like scholarship jobs, professors, Torah scholars. The interpersonal people like very much they like just the interaction, human interaction. That's where they live. That's what they love. Okay, and then the last is instinct. Instinct people are very tactile. They're very sensual, like the senses. They like to taste things. They like to touch it. Like it's only real to them when they touch it. Judaism becomes real when they see the family on Shabbos. Like they're experiencing the food of Shabbos. Like they love food. They love like exercise. They're often musicians, and they're often artists or involved in sports or other forms of exercise and stuff like that. But they're not just keeping in shape. They connect by doing exercise. They connect with that sport or that art form or something like that. They like to gush it. They like gushy stuff, like potters are instinct-oriented people. Is that clear? Got the three? Okay, very good. I'll just use my example one more time. So I'm at 2, 3, 1. You want to know your number system. That's what I mean. If I ask you, you'd want to say, well, I'm a 1, 3, 2, or I'm a 3, 1, 2, or I'm a 2, 3, 1, or a 2, 1, 3. And you want to get it down. Like, what's your hierarchy? So as I was saying, I'm a 2, 3, 1. I prefer the interpersonal stuff. if I'm not relating to people, so then I'm automatically, like that's it. I'm going either mountain biking, or I'm going to go surfing, or I'm going to be doing yoga, or I'm going to be, taking a hot bath. I take a lot of hot baths. I love hot baths. With essential oils, candles, music, just soaking away in the bath. I'm crazy about beer and Mexican food. Okay. I stretch to, this is celebrate, stretch. I stretch to intellect, and I generally only learn Torah with another person there, which is called a chavrusa. You guys know the term chavrusa? I only learn a chavrusa. Because if there's not a person there, my brain just goes, as soon as my chavrusa, and so I have to have someone there, and I will learn with him. But that's where I stretch. My wife, thank God, is also a 2-3-1, but hers are much more balanced. So she's much closer to, she loves obviously relating to, people, and instinctually, she's very into sports and cuisine and all those things. But her intellect's stronger than mine. That doesn't mean she's smarter than me. Again, we're not discussing your smarts. We're discussing just how much you love to play with ideas and be in ideas. And she really loves that. So she studies a lot more than I do. She elects to study. She doesn't need to study with anyone else. When we were first married, we'd finish the cholent. You guys know what cholent is? Cholent. It's that hot stew we eat Shabbos day. So for every bite of cholent you eat, there's, it's like an hour of sleep. So when I finish my cholent, where do I want to go? I want to go to bed. So when I first was married, my wife would finish the cholent, and my wife would say to me, honey, would you like to learn a little Torah? And I'd be like, yes, dear, And she would open up some book, and we'd start reading together. I'd be reading like the first sentence, and I'd just be like. So that went on for a few weeks, and then it was like, honey, would you like to learn some Torah? And I'd be like, yeah, can we learn in the bedroom? You'll read. And anyway, we're married 19 years now, and she just doesn't ask anymore. She knows where I'm going after that, Sean. It's so funny. It's hopeless. I don't mind learning later, and I teach third meal. I have an open third meal. You're all invited. But I teach during third meal. I'm into Torah, just not after my cholent. Okay. Now, okay. So what are you? Are you a 3-1-2? 2-1-3, 3-2-1. Everyone take a moment, think about it.
I think it's a 3-2-1.
You're a 3-2-1.
Yeah.
Excellent. Amazing. Give us one example. I want the example of the one you're most. The one you interface with most. So that would be the 3.
The 3, an example?
Yeah, just one example of how you naturally go there. That's your zone.
Well, I do a lot of art, and also at university, and I had a drawing assignment in, and I started at 9 o'clock in the morning just doing some drawings, and the next time I looked at my watch it was 5, so I was like, I just didn't realize the time went past. So
amazing. So you like that, you like the hands-on. Okay.
I am a 3-1-2 with instinct. Yeah, I'm a musician, but I love food. Like, I really, really love food. And I exercise as well. Like, I have a connection with exercise. Yeah, it's like my outlet as well.
Amazing.
Music and possibly food as well.
Wow. Food, exercise, music.
Yeah.
Great. Amazing. Okay.
I think I'm a 2-3-1.
2-3-1.
Yeah. I really like being with other people and hanging out. As I hate studying by myself. I go crazy. I can't do it. And if someone else is there, I tend to either I go crazy with them or I behave myself and I study, but it can go either way.
Mm-hmm.
But so I just really like being around other people.
Amazing. Okay.
I think I'm a 3-2-1. I think my mind sort of works better when I do things practically. And like if I'm just sitting and reading it, nothing will go in. But if I'm actually doing something,
it goes in.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay. Excellent example.
Yeah, I'm not too sure, but I also think I'm a 3-1-2. Also, as Deborah said, like more hands-on with things, and rather than just learning, like to be involved in it.
Wow, powerful. Okay.
I guess I'm 2-1-3, because I guess nothing that what I do or what I listen or what I experience, if is no one beside me, it's like I'm not living it, you know. Like if I'm watching something or I'm hearing music, it's like if I don't have to share with someone, it's like
Why bother?
like
That's amazing. Yeah, isn't that powerful? Like, and you guys, like the artist, for all those hours, like, can you imagine living like she does? Like, if there's someone else isn't on the other side of the chairlift, skiing's irrelevant. You know, it doesn't. It just doesn't matter. It's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah.
I think I'm 3-2-1. Yeah, like I like being creative and like exploring new things and traveling.
Great. Okay.
I think I'm a 3-1 and then a 2. It still goes 3-1-2 though. The things that give me the most energy and the most happiness are dancing and music, and then afterwards, ideas. Yeah.
Lastly, people.
Yeah.
We'll try to stay out of your hair. Yeah. We'll try not to bother you.
I'm definitely, as you started, I could see straight away I was 3-2-1.
You're a 3-2-1 also?
Definitely, from the outset. And because I make all my big decisions based entirely on instinct, even when they defy all reasonable, logical rationale.
Wow.
Like exclusively.
You need a Rabbi in your life.
Thank you.
You could get yourself in a lot of trouble making all your decisions based on instincts.
I do.
You do.
But then also when you talk about the flow, like I'm very much like chesed side. Like the kind of a struggle with.
Yeah, you're a flow.
Completely.
You're a flow instinct.
I'm completely free flow.
Flow instinct.
Yeah.
What do you do for a living?
Aged care, disability, crisis, emergency services. I save the world.
Excellent. So, okay, great. Anyway, the having a guide in life for instinct people is so important. Meaning, I have a class on YouTube called Finding a Rav. If you type in Finding a Rav, really how to find like your Rav, not just a Rav, like your Rav.
Well, the Rabbi sent me here.
Did he?
But yeah.
Wow, that was nice of him. So amazing. Okay, keep going.
I'm not sure. Like, I think I'm a 2-3-1. I'm like at my happiest when I'm like interacting with babies.
That's interesting.
So like, but I'm very hands-on with them as well. Like, I love giving like cuddles and playing, but like I hate exercise and like that sort of stuff. And I'm a bad learner as well. So.
Wow. 2-3-1. Well, you learn, but you learn probably through more interaction and experience.
Yeah, very much experience and like on the job kind of.
So interesting. So we didn't get one person, which is normal. No, ones are very rare. In the men's world, ones are rare. The majority of men are 2s and 3s. A little more 3s than 2s usually. Not necessarily. I would say the men are kind of split evenly there, and then there's a little bit of intellect men. By the way, it's good not to be a 1. It's good not to be a 1 because there's issues of arrogance. Because you see, you play violin, right? So you can have arrogance over other violin players, but over someone who's a carpenter, you would never like feel haughty. Whereas with people who are intellectuals, everyone has a brain, everyone has an intellect, and so if someone's like a real strong 1, so they can feel haughty over the planet, over the whole planet, and it gets hard, and it's hard also because a lot of men aren't 1s, and if a woman's a 1, it's hard to respect her husband, and she has to really work on herself to respect him. So it's a good sign that no one said they were 1s. And again, this is a celebrate and stretch. You want to celebrate what you are and stretch the other side. What I'd like to do is share with you guys a little bit of occupations and who to marry. How would you like that? Yeah? Okay. Do a little bit of occupations, who to marry. So first of all, structure jobs generally make more money, okay? But flow people don't care, okay? They're happier to be in their zone. And you guys realize now you already know what your main zone is? Because if you said you were flow or structure and your instinct, meaning most of you women were here. Most of you women were here. And so that's the special zone there of the 9, of these 9, of the 10th. This is the spot. That's your golden spot. And I'll talk about that in a minute. These are intellectual jobs, intellectual occupations, professors and scholars of all kinds, okay? Researchers. Also, occupations that require a lot of that time. For example, here, a surgeon would have to have a lot of time. He's got to be structured, she's got to be structure-oriented, and she's going to be spending a lot of time in school. A lot of time in school. And this is why so many psychologists are lousy. It's a weird field. Like, every surgeon to make it has to be good. Otherwise, he can't start cutting people. In psychology, most of them are not good. And then there's some good ones. And, you know, they're a needle in the haystack to find excellent ones. Why? Because these are people who are willing to spend all that time up here. But what of intellect, interpersonal, or instinct should be a psychologist? Which one? The interpersonal one. That's the one who's going to make the best psychologist. So, but they're not always willing to spend that time studying all that stuff. See, someone's in med school and they decide, do I want to be an eye surgeon, a heart surgeon, or a psychologist? And they're like, maybe I like people. I'll be a psychologist. But meanwhile, you know, they're trying to put you into some kind of structure of like their studies in psychology, and you're just like, come on, you know, like get me. You know, you want to be gotten. And whereas interpersonal people really get you. And this is why there's been this giant, amazing expansion of what's called coaching. Coaching's this huge thing today. Why? It's all the great people who really get you, but just aren't willing to, you know, spend time in university for 10 years. You know, having their kind of instinct interpersonal realm crushed by textbooks. And so those are coaches. And they're very good, and they're usually here. Coaches are usually here because it's kind of their own schedule. You know, they'll tell you when they're available and live their own schedule and be over here. But these are all coaches. Anyway, so these are intellectual positions. These are interpersonal. So here's a physician, a family doctor. Good bedside manner, knows how to say oy vey, you know, when you tell them you got a boo-boo. You know, this position here, again, is managerial. So like the ultimate position there would be, I mean, it's just a kind of a typecast position, but it would be a proprietor of a restaurant. It's very hard to make in the restaurant business. You have to really understand how to create a profit margin out of all that food. And have you guys ever made a meal for like 10 people? You ever tried that? Was it crazy and stressful and hard? Yeah. How about 200 people an hour? You realize what kind of structure abilities you need to have? So you might think that someone who's running a restaurant should be on the structure side. If you have a person running a restaurant, they have to be able to go with the flow. Can you imagine missing, like you come 10 minutes late for your reservation and they're like, sorry, Charlie, you know, you missed your reservation. We gave your table to someone else who came on time. You know, you'd be like, never coming here again. You understand, like they have to be, first of all, totally interpersonal. They have to be able to how to create a profit margin out of a menu and get everyone paid and everyone dealt with and all those meals served, yet be able to totally go with the flow with the whole thing. I mean, you can have so much can happen in the restaurant business in a given hour, a given 10-minute period. And they have to be able to totally undulate with what's happening and move accordingly. Okay, it's just a good example. It's a typecast. There's many examples of great positions there. This is people, they like freelance, they like to teach, they like humanities and philosophies and stuff like that. Meaning this person would like to teach history or you know, things having to do with thought and stuff like that. But they want to teach. They want to be really relating to a class full of people. And they love their free time. They love their summers off. Things like that. They get their summer off. And someone here could be also a great teacher, but they'd probably want to be teaching something that's more like geometry or, you know, something that has to do with structure. Okay, now down to the instincts. The instinct occupations are here again. This is more managerial. So this is someone who could be running a yoga studio or running a gym or running a music program or something like that. So they're always in their zone. They're in music, or they're in arts, or they're in physical exercise, or something like that. But they're managing everything and dealing with the same kind of details that the restaurant proprietor might be dealing with, but in a instinctual type of way. And by the way, they could be good at restaurants, but they would miss the interpersonal aspect. The structure side of instinct are people who are involved in the arts, or it could be a physical therapist where they have to understand so much of the human body to be able to do that work. But they really spend their day all day working with people who've been injured or maybe have to pick up their skills in a certain part of the body. And they spend their day in bodies, ultimately. So they're in the physical world. It's not so important that they're interpersonal, and they're dealing with structure all the time. Whereas over here, this is where you get artists, musicians, people who are really good with kids, often lifeguard, you know, like hanging out on the beach as a lifeguard. Yeah. Total flow, total instinct. All your senses are being touched all the time, and you're able to act instinctually for the emergencies. EMTs, emergency workers, all are down there. Very, very wealthy business people are often here. Okay, like for example, imagine a wealthy stock trader in Wall Street. They spend their whole day staring at 3 screens. Those screens just have codes, and they have codes what the stock is and then how much it's trading at. And it's just like, I mean, that would give me a nervous breakdown just staring at those screens for like 10 minutes. Not to mention the fact that I don't even understand what's going on over there because I'm flow. But they have their pulse on the market. They have their instinctual connection to the market, and it's how it's like moving. And they just know when to buy, and they just know when to sell. And they don't second guess their instinct on that. And the very, very wealthy business people are usually right there. CEOs of big corporations are usually up here. And they hire people to consult the people in their firm. And they have people who are building, you know, new branches of their firm, which are more in construction. And they're, you know, spreading out and expanding into new construction for their company. And then over here, I did flow instinct, yeah? Did flow instinct. Last is, who do you marry? Who do you marry? Who do you love? So the answer is, well, throughout history, there's always been an argument between opposites and likeness. Do you like the opposite, or do you like someone who's more in common with you? And so that's like an age-old discussion of whether opposites or likeness attract. And the amazing thing is when you're coming from the Kabbalah, so you're gonna get to the truth of like what's better, opposites or alike. And the answer is both. When it comes to your style, flow versus structure, so opposites better. Not extreme opposites, that would be dangerous for a good marriage. But if someone's extreme, they should get the F of flow. Extreme structure, F of flow. If someone's extreme flow, yeah, they should get the what? E of structure. Okay, he'll still be frustrated with you, yeah, but you know, he gets it. He gets this flow aspect too. Balanced people can marry either. It does not matter. They can marry the extremes. They can marry, they're cool with either side. But once you know what side you are, so then you go to the opposite side for who you marry. Okay? And it's pretty important because kids being raised by two structured parents, it's instead of two structured parents, it's TOO, two structure. It freaks the kids out. It doesn't allow for the magic of life enough. Because flow people are about the magic of life. And structure people are like, well, you got to have structure. And good luck drinking water without a cup, So you need to have structure in life. Someone's got to make the chant, Shabbos is coming, he's like, well, I'm going off to yoga. And she's like, well, I'm going to a poetry reading. And you're like, who's going to make the chant? You. And they're like, oh, man, let's just call someone. We'll go to their house. That's as far as opposites. And then when it comes to your USB cable interface, what do you think's better? The same. You want to hit as much of that as common as possible. Because that's where you spend the hours of your life. You want to spend your hours of your life there. And you want to be careful, by the way, whatever occupation you choose, going back to occupations, whatever occupation you choose should not be a stretch for you. You spend a lot of hours in your occupation. And if you wind up stretching for all those hours, it'll take its toll. Human beings have to be at peace with themselves. There's nothing wrong with stretching. But you got to celebrate. And that's what will give you longevity and give you a happy life. And it'll be kinder to your whole system. And you'll live longer and live healthier. So you don't want to spend too much time out of your zone except when necessary. And it's necessary throughout the day, you got to stretch. But not for your full day occupation. Back to marriage. Sorry, that was kind of a digression. But back to marriage is you want to be interfaced with the person you marry. And that means you want to get it as close as possible. And you'll have to stretch. I really should stretch and learn a little Torah with my wife after the chant. That's extreme, though. That's impossible. But it's just not possible. I cannot keep my eyes open after that chant. I'm not going to drink a cup of coffee after the chant. And who wants coffee without milk anyway? So you want to, if you're a 1, 2, 3, you want to marry 1, 2, 3. Ideally. You'll just love the time together. You'll always want to do the same stuff, which is great. You don't want to have a parallel life with your spouse. You want a life with your spouse, not a separate life where you meet up sometimes. And I've seen plenty of marriages that they're always stretching. And you see it. You see they're always stretching. He's a sports fanatic. She's a socialite. And there are girls who love sports. And he could have married a girl who loves sports and been just spending so many hours together, playing sports, watching sports, living sports. And then instead, she, rolls her eyes and says, oh, okay, I'll escort you to the game, And she has to sit through the game, and she's the whole time texting with friends, and he's like, look, they're about to score. And she's just like, oh yeah, that's nice. It's irrelevant to her. She wants to connect to people. And you get that? So you want as much, you can't always get it perfect, but you want as much likeness as possible here, and ideally opposites here, unless you're balanced, which means you could go either direction, flow, or structure in a spouse. Clear? But by taking whatever your style is and adding to it your USB interface, you can really find what's your pocket, how to live right in the pocket of your life so that you're in the zone. And I call this finding your Garden of Eden modality. Thank you very much.